Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest Fall Guys update of all time is finally here in Scrapyard Stumble. And let me just tell you, without even boosting, without glazing, this is the biggest update we have gotten, at least since the start of creative. It has exceeded all of my expectations, and that's me being honest. First thing that you can notice is when you load into the game, we have a new beautiful background that represents a construction site. This construction site is also a background in creative, which I'll show you in just a second. There's so much to go through, so many new things, so let's get started. All right, starting up, we go to creative, and we have a brand new mode. This is called the points mode. It is not called the hunt mode. There's a few small differences between hunt and points, but let me just tell you that this mode blew my mind. I thought it was going to be a simple recreation of just classic Bubble Trouble, but it is so much more than that, so let's get right into it. All right, as I already mentioned, they have added one new background, so if you hit left from original, you have the Scrapyard background, and it is a 3D background. That's right. We have all of these little helper construction objects, lifting objects in the background. Now, obviously, you can't interact with them because they are behind the playing area, but it just looks so good. Like, I'm going to be using this even for non-construction maps because this is easily my favorite background. It's not even close. Now, I should mention as well that this is the points mode, and you can see it is basically the same size as a regular race round. So I was kind of worried that it was going to be the same size as the Blunder Dome that you get in Survival, which is basically like a big bowl, but this is the same size as the race round. Now, what's actually new when it comes to the objects? This is going to take me like an hour. I don't even know how this video is going to be less than 30 minutes because I'm about to go crazy mode. So stay with me. Pause the video if you need to. Rewind because we're going to go through everything in just a couple of minutes. Here we go. So first things first, you have the ability to add checkpoints as well as checkpoint zones, start lines, and single start points. You can actually use the single start points in conjunction with the start line. I'm just assuming that it's basically going to be random. Obviously, if this is a big starting line, you'll have a much better chance of spawning here rather than the one single start point. But if you put a start position down, you can actually delete the starting line, so you can have your map just be random spawn points across the map, similar to Survival. If we move from platforms to blocks and barriers, you'll quickly see that there are two icons at the top of most of the primitive shape. Now, we already know that the one on the top right is the overlap, and the top left shows an icon that actually means that the object can have physics added to it or become breakable or grabbable. Now, let's take the most primitive shape, the sphere. If we take this sphere and we go to settings, you're going to see that there's a ton of different changes. First things first, you got to see this. If you click edit on the colors, we have gotten a giant color palette. I'm not going to go through every color because that's going to take literally 2.5 years, but you're going to see here that each different type of background or theme has its own color palette. So they're kind of going away. You know how there's original and digital when you start to load in? Now it doesn't really matter. This does only apply to shapes. It doesn't apply to the obstacles, but still, you have access to basically an infinite number of colors. Now, if we move down to the important part, we already know what collision is and we already know what visibility is. That was added in the last update. Let's go through physics. If you turn on physics, it basically makes it so that gravity affects the object. Let's turn it on here, and you can see that we have a couple of different options now. We first have the option to choose the weight. The weight is basically how heavy the object is. If you think about it as if you're standing in front of this ball and you try to push it, or you drop it from the top of a building, how fast will it fall, or how heavy will it be to push? If it's light, it's gonna fall slowly, and it's gonna be easy to push. Medium, I mean, let's be honest, I don't need to go through each one. You know what a medium means, and you know what heavy means. But let me show you what it looks like in action. All right, we're gonna start with heavy. I've got this block here. Right now, if you just run into it, it is basically a pretty heavy block. It does roll quite smoothly, and you're gonna see there's not so much of a difference between medium, heavy, and light when it's just rolling around. It's just a very slight difference in terms of the speed. This is a little bit faster, and then if I make this one even lighter, I mean, it's basically a feather at this point. This thing is gonna go absolutely flying, just like that. So that is the physics. Now, obviously, if I add it into the air and I drop down here, you can see it falls down like so. Now, if I take this and I actually make it grabbable, I'm gonna put it back down onto the ground. Before, I could only move it by running into it, but now if you hold the grab button, you can actually pull it or push it. Now, this is gonna be an amazing thing for different maps, like puzzle maps or just team-based maps. There's one aspect that's in this update that I'm gonna show you that's gonna be perfect. By the way, look at this. I feel like I'm playing like shot put or something, spinning around like this. I'm getting busy, I'm gonna stop, but that is the grabbable setting right there. Going back into the settings, we have one final one, which is Destructible, and this is one of the coolest parts of the update. By making it Destructible, you have a couple of options here. You can say any force was required or only high forces. Those are the only two options, and I'm gonna explain to you what each one means. If you put any force, that just means if anything in the map, including your being, hits it, it will break. If I just walk into this, boom, it's broken, gone. And that is it. However, let me just show you one more thing. I had it on respawn if destroyed. If you obviously turn that off, it will not respawn. So for example here, bang, it's gone. You're never gonna see it again. However, if I put that back on, it does take a little bit of time and you cannot be near the spawn point. But if I walk away, After a few seconds, it will come back just like so. Now, you can also make it so that a different number of hits are required to break it. It does only have a maximum of 3, so it's 1, 2, or 3. What that just means, though, is you can see that there's a smaller number of cracks in this, but if I hit it again, that's 1. Hit it again, that's 2. And then if I grab it, well, I can't because it's a very easy thing to break, but that's 3, and it's broken. Dunzo, and it respawns. Now, there's also a points granted, which I am going to come back to in just a little bit, but I want to explain to you the difference between any force and only high forces. If you have it on only high forces, you actually need to use a couple of different options. Number 1, and that's actually something new to the game, is one of the craziest power-ups I've ever seen, called the rubber chicken. I'm going to put it at infinite, and I'm going to keep the visibility on, and I'm going to show you what this thing does. If you get the rubber chicken power-up, it's not like the rhinos, it's not like the fan blocks, there's nothing. Invisibility balls, doesn't matter. If you hit circle, you have this baseball bat chicken, and if at any point you hit circle again, it will swing. Now, it should be noted that if you hit circle really quickly, it's going to be a soft swing, and if you hold it until the end of that yellow bar, right at the end, yoink, that thing goes absolutely flying. Now, obviously, I should not have done that because it's going to have to respawn, and I'm going to have to hit it 3 times, but this is what they constitute as a high force item. So if I look at this, you see how that's starting to crack? If I just walk into it when it's high force, this thing does nothing. You see it's not cracking? You do need to use something like a blast ball or this new power-up that sends things absolutely flying. Now, this is perfect for golf, for baseball, for so many different sport maps. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with this new chicken slapping power-up. It's honestly crazy. While we're actually in this section, I am going to show you what they're calling a score bubble. The score bubble is probably the most classic idea of the hunt rounds. Basically, if you think about a map like Bubble Trouble, every time you walk into it, you will get a certain number of points. I should note that you can edit the settings on the bubble to give you a different number of points. If you go down to points awarded, you can see here that it goes 1, 3, or 5. The 1 is a diamond, the 3 is a white star or a gray star, and finally number 5 is this big, giant, yellow, kind of hexagonal, octagonal, looks like the Esso logo. You know what I'm talking about? The gas station, Esso? Kind of looks like that logo if it was like a more red-white. Anyways, each one will give you a different number of points. You can see right now, it says 0 out of the 5 at the top. Now it says 5 out of 5. To change the number of points you need to qualify, you're going to want to go into your settings, click edit, and then you're going to want to scroll down to the score target, which defines how many points you can get. The max number of points in a single round is 100. I'm not going to scroll all the way to 100 because that would literally take me another 20 minutes. Anyways, that is one way to collect points, is by getting the bubbles. Now, you can change the respawn settings. You can also make it a little bit bigger, which is kind of funny. You can make it so that it spawns every so often. You can also turn off the UI. So you know how every time I was getting it, the +1, +2 came up? If you turn that off and turn off audio, you'll basically just walk into it, and you won't really know you got it unless you check your score in the pink. But you see there's no sound or anything. So you can turn that off if you're just using it for like accounting, for counting purposes, when you don't really need people to see it or hear it. Now, there is one more setting on here as well, which I said is at the respawn timer. So you can actually create a range of time. So if you do it 1-1, it will respawn every second. If you do 1-5, it will randomly spawn between 1 and 5 seconds after somebody gets it. You can make it actually, sorry, it actually goes higher than 5. It actually goes, holy shnikes, what does this thing go to? Oh my days. Why wouldn't I just go backwards from what? Am I brain dead? It goes all the way to, yo, it can make it so that it never respawns basically because it goes to basically the max timer that you have on your map. Very cool. Now I want to show you something even cooler. Now that we know there's a point system that determines when you qualify, basically just like any hunt round, like Hoopsie Legends, Bubble Trouble, things like that, and including kind of like Egg Sorter, but not really. I'm gonna show you what the breakable object can actually do. If we go back to our fun sphere, we make it destructible. Remember I told you that there were some points? When you break the object, it can actually reward you points and they can go negative. I should actually know, let me just go back. Actually, I should have noted this before, but these can also go negative. I should have said that. You can also add physics to them. But same way that you added physics before, if I put that in the air, it will actually fall down, which is kind of crazy. But what I meant to say is that the game has added COVID, by the way. COVID is now in the game because you can see here that, brother, they have added literal COVID in the game. Like, if you get this, obviously I'm at 0, so let me just, let me duplicate this one and just show you what happens, bro. It's honestly crazy, bro. You actually get COVID in the game. Let's say I'm, like, straight chilling. I'm absolutely buzzing. I get 3, bang. And then I get COVID. I'm back to 0. I'm actually the worst player of all time. So COVID is in the game now, ladies and gentlemen. But going back to this one, when you are the last person to break the object, you actually get points, which is absolutely crazy. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering, well, matzo balls, what if I have hits required to 2, and I'm the first person to hit it, right? And then somebody else is a snake, and they were waiting, and then they come and hit it. Unfortunately, it's the last person to hit it, or basically the person that breaks it gets the point. So sometimes it may not be worth hitting it the first time. It might be worth waiting for somebody to hit it for you, and then boom, you can hit it and get the 5 points. Now that I've explained the rules of that, you need to see this next one. One more thing I forgot to mention for the COVID bubbles, or just any bubbles in general, you can attach them to a rotation controller, which is absolutely bonkers. I've already seen somebody recreate basically ski fall. They called it Stumble, or no, they called it Scrapyard fall, and it was absolutely crazy. But look at this. The COVID literally chases you, bro. Oh my god, we're back to 2020. COVID is chasing me. Run for your lives. You can obviously change the settings on the rotation controller to make it as fast as possible. And then if you want to get yeeted by COVID, I don't recommend it. I highly recommend that you stay away. But if you want it, but if you know what though, if it's positive, if you're COVID negative and you want to be chilling, like, and then it's a positive, then you actually want to get it. Bang, 5 points just like that. So very cool thing that you can add. You cannot add the rotation controller to our friends, the destructible objects. You will see this error saying you cannot link it to destructible objects. Thanks a lot, Mediatonic. Anyways, let's get to the final thing, the trigger zone, which is the coolest part of this update in my opinion, because there's some really cool maps that have already been used, because this is the first object basically in the game that allows you to use logic. Now let me explain what that means. Let me create the zone first, and then I'll explain to you how you can use logic and apply it to these trigger zones. Let's go to the settings of these trigger zones, and you can see that there's a trigger object. Basically, this tells you what object that needs to go into the trigger zone in order for something to happen. So let me give you an example. Right now it's on player. What that means, let me actually link it to, I'm gonna link it to the, well, the bubble's already been linked to. So let me link it to this bubble for a sec, okay? Okay, actually, apparently trigger zones cannot be linked to bubbles. So trigger zones can be linked to things like, let me just make a platform here. Yoink over there, let's make it a cool color, because now we have cool colors. Bang, boom, bop. You can link it to this God damn it, it's not letting me link it to anything. Let me add a bean barrier right here. Let's just right there. What a beautiful bean barrier, one of the greatest bean barriers in the game. And let me link it just like so. Now, I remember I told you it was set to player. If I stand inside here, it will actually turn on because it's a player. But let's say I threw this ball into it. Well, you can't see the trigger zone. Let me do this again. If I threw my ball into it, okay, I have to turn the thing. Now that I've turned my ball, if I throw the, brother, what am I doing? If I throw the ball into it, with 3 hits required. Okay, one of the hits was it falling to the ground. There we go. You see this? The ball goes into it. That doesn't count, bro. It's not gonna count. It needs to be a player. Now, what you can do with this is you can have it be a player, an egg, a basketball, a block, a heavy block, a physics object, a draggable object, all of the above. What you'll notice is that everything but the player also has this despawn property, which just means if something goes in it, does it respawn after you're done with it? Does it destroy it completely and have it never respawn, or does nothing happen, it just chills in there? If you have it as yes and respawn, let me just give you an example of a draggable object. I'm putting a physics object, because that's what this is. Watch this. When it goes inside, it will actually, well, it's supposed to destroy it, but that's awkward. I guess it did not want to respawn it. That's embarrassing. Let me just destroy it. Oh, I literally did nothing. That's probably what helps spawn. So when it goes in there, get inside there, bang. It is going to respawn now. Come on, respawn, please and thank you. There it is. However, if I put this onto yes and destroy, as soon as this thing touches the trigger zone, it's going to get absolutely yoinked and it will never respawn again. So this is good for creating a puzzle map so that it doesn't break if somebody keeps putting something into the trigger zone. You can never put it in again. Now let me go back to the player, and I'm going to explain to you what each of these things mean. The quantity is how many of a certain object you need in order for the element to be triggered. So for example here, I have it as 1, which just means 1 player needs to be in the trigger zone for it to be activated. If I put it to 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. If I put it to 10, that means let's say we have a 10-player lobby, and I set it to 10, it means every single person in the game needs to be in this trigger zone in order for the barrier to open. So for example, if I go in here, it doesn't do anything, we would actually need 9 more people in order for this to trigger. However, there's also this comparison operator, and at first this confused me, but I'm going to explain to you exactly what it means. The comparison is not on the actual trigger, it is on the quantity. What does that mean? Well, we needed exactly 10 people right now in order for this object to trigger. That's because we have it equal to 10. Guys, this is like school with matzo balls, holy shnikes. If we have it not equal to 10, that doesn't matter what number is in there as long as it's not 10. So if I go in here, it's not 10, it's gonna open up. It's that simple. This is a really cool way to make like logic-based puzzles. And finally, we have less than. I'm not gonna explain that. It's the exact same. If it's less than 10, then you're good to go. If it's 10 or more, I haven't tried this out, but I'm pretty sure if it's 10 or more, then it won't count. So it actually needs to be less than, because it's not less than or equal to, okay? So if it says less than 10, if you hit 9, you're good. As soon as you put the 10th one in, I'm pretty sure that would stop it. We also have more than, it's the exact same but the opposite. And then there it is, equal to or less than. So this was exactly what I'm saying. So this would be 10 or less, and this would be 10 or more. And then once again, we have equal to. What does this mean, check if object left? What this means is if I put it to player and I put this back to 1, this will stay open for as long as I'm inside of here. The second I leave it, so it's asking to check if I've left, it will close. It's that simple. Same with the ball. If I change this to be a physics object and I put the ball in, if the ball ever leaves, then the door will once again close. Finally, we also have point scoring, which is bonkers. This is the craziest part, and I'll show you what I've done on another map just as like a cool idea of what you can do. Turn point scoring on, and we have so many more settings. We have how many points do you get if the condition is true? If we have 1 player in the trigger zone, how many points do we get? If we have a player inside, we'll get 1 point. We'll actually get a point for every, I think it's set to second, but basically every second I'm inside it, I'll keep getting points. I'll show you. Points. Give me another point. Give me another point. Point. Point, exactly like that. So it's about every 1 second. If you just do it only when they enter, you'll see here, if I enter, I get a point, but it doesn't matter how long I'm in here, it doesn't count. If I exit and I come back in, I get another point. So you can start hoarding those points and be an absolute snake. And look at the door, brother. Oh, no. Oh. Yo, if you can find the perfect rotation, you can just spam it. And then finally, we also have those are the 2 for points while it's inside. As I said, oh, sorry, that's where the seconds is. I missed that before, but this how many seconds basically are you gonna get a point? So if I do it every 5 seconds, that means you can't just stay in here forever. Let me exit first and come in. So, oh, sorry, it has to be, I have to be in here. So every 5 seconds, 2, 3, 4, 5, there it is. Every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm a terrible counter because I'm not getting another point. Wow, though that's like 7 seconds. What kind of mediatonic counting is this? Oh my God. And there's number 3. That's all that there is to do. Once again, you can turn off those score feedback UIs and audio when you add points, but that's everything there is to know about the linkages with the trigger zones. This is such a cool property. You can have multiple things. So you could have this gets you points every time it gets hit. There, I just got 5 points. I go in here. After 5 seconds, I have it on right now. I get another point. Bang, bang, bam, bam, boom. Give it to me. There it is. Okay, I only got 1 point. I'm actually brain dead. And then I get another point for hitting this. And so you can have multiple things giving you points in different ways. There's a couple more things that they've added to this update, and it mainly has to do with some of the decorations. I need to show you this thing. We have got the Beanmobile, brother. This reminds me of like the Krabby Patty wagon that SpongeBob used to drive. You can get on this bad boy. It's basically a hoverboard heroes or hyperdrive heroes platform that you can use. You can obviously, it doesn't do anything unless you add a rotation controller, but you can add a rotation controller just like so, and we can get on this bad boy, and we are absolutely booming. We are zooming. So this is perfect for those hoverboard hero type remakes, and you don't have to use too much budget. I believe it cost, let me see, it cost, great, I can't see it, 12. It costs 12. There's also our trolley bots, once again, from Hoverboard Heroes. It doesn't do anything, or sorry, Hyperdrive Heroes, but it doesn't do anything unless you link our friend, the rotation controller. I am gonna lock this one right here. And now you'll see here, bang, they go off to the races. There's also a tire, in case you get tired. Get it? Get it? Because, never mind. They also have this plunge bot. This one's really cool because you can make it look like it's carrying an obstacle. So if I do something like this, it kind of looks, I mean, obviously if it's in the air, so let's just put these 2 in the air. It kind of looks like it's holding it, but I think I put physics on that one, so we'll drop it. So you can kind of do something fun like that, and you can take this thing and say, get the heck out of my face, right? Pretty cool. Finally, there's also the barrel. Once again, this is mainly decoration. It really doesn't do anything, but it's just a cool, perfect for the construction update. So you can add this to your map. And then last but not least, the crane. This one's even better for like holding objects in the air. You can make this absolutely gigantic. Then once again, if I actually pull this bad boy over here, plunge that guy right over here, and then you're gonna see, kind of looks great. And then you can have it drop. And then obviously if I turn physics off, which would just mean this thing's floating in the air as a destructible object. It's kind of hard to see, but there it is. You can see the plunger holding it. It's just such a great decorative piece that you can use on your maps to add a little bit of flavor. Now, that is going to cover everything except for the final thing, which is 2 additional types of stickers. One is the stripes, perfect for a construction vibe, and then recycling, kind of to go with that construction vibe. It's just perfect. You can throw it over here. And then as you can see here, do you see these like construction lines? It's basically the same thing, maybe just a little bit of a smaller version. You can change the color on the stickers though. The great thing is these stickers are changeable every color in the game, basically. Just make sure you click it, guys. It doesn't preview it unless you actually click X on it. I know in the past it would automatically show the colors, but you do need to click it. But that is another cool thing that you can just add to give a little bit of character to your map. Now, I think I've actually covered everything that there is to cover, at least from creative. There are a few more things that I'm about to show you. Just some creative ways to use some of the new obstacles and objects, but this update is bonkers. I'm so excited to see what you guys come up with, but I'll catch you on my other creative map. All right, we are here on Half-Chord Heroes, which is literally, I made this map in like 2 minutes, and it's absolutely scuffed beyond broken. But I just want to give you an idea of what you can build with some of the stuff that we've got in this today's update. So let me just give you an example. I've built a net over here. This is a little bit big, so don't ignore this for now. But we're gonna have these basketballs drop on down, and basically what I have done is I've added a trigger zone into the net So you're gonna see anytime I hit a shot just like so. Oh my god, this edit's gonna take forever. Oh, that is a blast ball. Am I brain dead? Every time that a basketball goes in, so just like so. You see how I just switched that? Bang. The ball goes away, it respawns, and I get a point. Those are a little bit lower. These ones are a bit higher, so they're worth a little bit more. And if you hit it just like that, you see that I got 3 points. And the first to 15, it's a little bit high. I have to fix this map, but every time you hit a basket and it goes inside, you get additional points until you qualify. That's just one way you can kind of get creative with these types of maps. I'll quickly show you what this looks like from a trigger zone perspective. I have it as, obviously, we check if there's a basketball. If the basketball is equal to 1, so if you hit one basket, we're not going to check if it left because we only want to check when it actually gets inside. We're going to give a point. We're going to give 1 point for these small ones. Only when it enters. We want it to respawn when it hits it. And then we do not want, I didn't want to show it. If I showed the zone, then obviously it would look a little bit silly. Like it would just look like this. So I just made it invisible so that you can't tell there's a zone there. And the same thing here, instead of making it worth 1 point, the higher ones are then worth 3 points. And that is exactly how I built this map. It's obviously beyond scuffed, and it's a map I literally built in 5 minutes on stream, but like it just kind of goes to show you what you can do with some of the new obstacles. Oh my god, that was a switch, come on. Just like that. It's actually kind of addicting. Like low-key, it's like actually addicting. You can practice your basketball shots. I'll probably spend some more time. Just think about all the sport maps, logic maps you can make. Mediatonic absolutely cooked. I'm excited to build again. I'm excited to stream. I did just release a Hunger Games video. If you want to check that out, the link will be in the description. I appreciate you guys checking out this video. Once again, comment down below if you enjoyed and what you would like to see out of Fall Guys content, and we'll catch you in the next one.